Yeah. Welcome. We are back. A new week in the market. A lot of things going on in a whole bunch of different places and different markets. So we're going to be doing our nightly recap stream of the day and talk about everything that happened. It was a pretty good day overall in the markets. And I think a large part of that was due to NVIDIA having a 6% green day. And there were a bunch of other names that really did perform well, crypto being one asset category that did do very well today. Let's get started with Bitcoin, which right now is testing just under $47,000. It broke out of this range on volume. It's really been in this range since the beginning of December. So Bitcoin was in this 40 to 45K range, $5,000 range for about a month. And today it finally broke out of it, closed above it. We also had this 45.7K resistance level. If we go back in time, you can see some prior lows and highs at that price point, and that was your key resistance. Bitcoin is above that as well. So what happens next is potentially a pullback to flip our previous resistance from the last month into a support and then move higher. I think a 50K test should be in the cards with this breakout. We go to the weekly time frame. Of course, that's that beautiful bullish cipher playing out, and it really isn't much resistance until 50K. I mean, on the weekly, there isn't even a resistance at $50,000. So if we're going to really clear up this weekly chart, I think there's really not much resistance until like 63K if we're going to zoom out here. Like, imagine this was just like a 5-minute chart or a 15 or a daily chart. There's a decent chance that it goes back up to test the top of this. And that is $63,000 for Bitcoin. That would be another 40% higher. Off the lows, Bitcoin is already up 200%. So it just has to go another 40% on top of that. So that's really what's happening with Bitcoin right now. Of course, we have all that ETF talk taking place. Looks like for the most part, it should be all set and done. Ethereum, not quite caught up to Bitcoin currently, but it is sitting in this range from 2100 to 2450. And it did get a move higher. I mean, you could probably create a demand line, something like this, and we'll just that, and it starts to look more and more like an ascending triangle. I mean, you definitely have the price action, the psychology behind an ascending triangle with the higher lows and the equal highs right around 2400-ish. And if it can just crack that level, especially on the weekly, I like Ethereum better than Bitcoin. Take a look at how you see this previous high from April. It's pretty much flipped into a support for the past month now. And on the weekly time frame, we already talked about Bitcoin being up 200% off the lows, and Ethereum's up about 146% off the lows. And I mean, look, you've been consistently making higher lows while trying to break above this critical zone. This critical zone dates back to these lows in June of 2021. All of this resistance since the end of 2022. And now we've just spent the last month flipping that huge resistance into a support. So technically, I do like Ethereum better. The next level I have on Ethereum on the weekly time frame is about 2,700. Moving on to Solana. Looks like it's getting close to, or actually it kind of just did, test this bull flag breakout. The hidden bullish divergence is starting to develop on the daily time frame. Bullish engulfing at the lows. Solana could be setting up for a bull flag breakout as we speak. So keep an eye on that. Pretty much getting back above 100 on this could send it back up to 120, which is your next level on a daily time frame. So that's it for crypto. Moving into other markets, let's start off with some bonds or treasuries. The US 10-year or the US 2-year first, continuing to go sideways off of this 4.3% level. And then we have the US 10-year. Believe it or not, treasuries are showing resistance at a line on the chart. Yeah, one of the largest assets in the world is showing a resistance at a yellow line on my trading view chart. The 200-day moving average is proving to be a little bit of a resistance right now, make or break area. Taking a quick look at metals, gold is just starting to go sideways now. Let's see if any pattern can be made out of this. We have a lot of patterns on. So pretty much looks to be a triangle pattern here forming for gold. Hopefully it breaks the upside and then it can clear this mega 2068 resistance level a weekly. And then silver is also, like we've been saying, much larger triangle here. The Hang Seng Index having a rough day. It's closed right now, so I'm not sure which day this was. It's saying Monday, January 8th. Delete all these lines for a second. And zoom out. Seems to be that's the longer term trend line. Let's see if I can rechart a harmonic here. So you have a bullish Gartley on the Hang Seng Index, and it's pretty much retesting the pattern completion zone. So as long as it can hold 16,000, that's your key level in the short term. If Chinese stocks can hold 16K on the Hang Seng Index, this could be a major setup. You want to see a pattern that's very similar to this pattern that's playing out as we speak. Well, we can go to Bitcoin on the weekly. It's not a Gartley, it's more of a cipher. But this is potentially where the Hang Seng Index is. Like down over here. And that's only if it starts reversing soon. Bitcoin really only got this move. And I'm not saying the only reason Bitcoin went from 15K to 46K is because of this harmonic. But I'm saying in terms of viewing this harmonic, it only was an actual harmonic playing out because it was able to hold those lows in reverse from that standpoint. If it would have went down to, I don't know, somewhere like here, it wouldn't have been a cipher. It could have turned into a shark, but that's besides the point. So that is pretty much the quick look at other markets. Let's talk about stocks now. And starting off with the SPY, up about 1.5% today. It was lagging the QQQ for the majority of the day. Did do a decent job playing catch up towards the end of the day. And let's talk about what is taking place here. So heading into the week in the Discord, looks like I just kind of froze for a second. It's good now. Let's go over to this channel. And heading into the week, I did share, let's see if I can, right here, that the 1 hour chart for the S&P 500 was a little bit conflicting, and you can see these two pretty much scenarios. Either the right angle descending broadening or right angled ascending broadening wedge that we talked about last week plays out, which is that white pattern, which would be bad, or a newer downsloping channel on the 15-minute/1 hour could play out. And that played out beautifully. You go over here, you can see you were flirting with it, testing it. This breakdown of this right angle descending broadening wedge, you really never could truly confirm it. To me, it did look like it was a good setup, but just never really confirmed the price action. And instead, this morning, gapped up a little bit, broke out of this 1 hour. You can see the two green lines over here, broke out of that, and literally just went boom, autopilot mode for the rest of the day. And you went right up to fill this gap from the gap down on January 2nd, the first trading open of the year. So now we're right back to where we ended the year of 2023 in the market. The sell-off we saw for about the first week of the year, literally in one day, was pretty much recovered. So let's clear up this chart now that we've had that play out. Let's look for some new technicals. If you want to keep it simple, it's just a megaphone pattern. That's what we're seeing right now, okay? And it's a pretty good looking megaphone pattern. You have 3 touches on your supply line and 3 touches on your demand line. So it's going to be a game of patience. It probably will take a decent amount of time to break out or to break down from this pattern, but this is a new 1 hour pattern on the SPY. On the 4 hour, I do like that we're back above my important zone. You can see a few of these highs. If we really zoom in here, you can see it easier. A few of these highs around that 470 to 473 zone. We're back above that level, which is good. We broke it in the second 4 hour candle of the day. And then the oscillators have finally changed. I'm sure a lot of you watching the stream saw that I kind of was anticipating the sell-off in the markets because of the classic bearish divergence on the MACD and RSI on the 4 hour and on the daily. And if that would have really played out potentially on the Qs on the weekly. But now that bearish divergence is over, the skies are clearing up, and you actually have hidden bullish divergence on the 4 hour starting to develop, and the potential for hidden bullish divergence on the daily as well. For those of you who have not been in any of the premium webinars where I talk about divergence, or for those of you who haven't watched the free course on my channel, hidden bullish divergence is the continuation divergence. So this is implying a continuation of the uptrend that we have been seeing. So that's starting to form as we speak. And yeah, I would just keep focus on how that 1 hour pattern that I drew out continues to develop. If we go into the Qs and take a look here, you also have that classic bearish divergence turning into hidden bullish divergence. Big shout out to Undershot making this indicator that shows the labels of the divergences. And I mean, I guess we kind of had like these inverted hammer candles. I'm not going to sit here and say that I was anticipating a plus 2% grade A on the Qs. Not once did I say that anywhere at the end of last week. I was not thinking we were going to start this week this good. I'm sure a lot of you didn't either. There were definitely multiple reasons for that. So 4-hour hidden bullish divergence and then a gap to fill on the upside at 409. So across the board, you're looking at a bunch of levels in which could be tested next. The overall area here, probably zoom out on it, start to create a little bit of a pattern here. Maybe something like this. I'm only connecting a few of these candles up here. But if we do look at like this, it's technically a breakout with hidden bullish divergence. So this is your new bull flag on the Qs. We go over to the 1 hour time frame, just like that. Go over to the daily. The lows we put in really had nothing to do with anything historically. The closest level that we got down to was this high, November 29th. So we kind of just had a little bit of a reversal. We do have some data coming out on Wednesday. I do believe that the Qs should go up to fill this gap, or 763-ish daily. But please keep in mind, we never really pivoted off of any important levels. For all we know, this could just be a move to quickly get a dead cat bounce to fill this gap and then make a cemented lower high and continue lower. So do not let a one day where you go up 2% trick you. Like, this could be a big fake out move, all right? Keep that in mind. That's the Qs. Take a look at the Russell 2000. Beautifully bouncing off that level I was talking about last week on stream, 192. Look at this high over here. And this high over here was also near this gap fill from the gap up on December 14th. The Russell 2000 reversing there as well. If we go down to lower time frames on this one, well, number one, that rising wedge played out beautifully. But number two, you then developed a little bit of a falling wedge, and that's playing out now. So you do have a gap fill at around 198.5 on the Russell 2000. So I would say your resistance to keep an eye on is going to be that 198.5 resistance, and then the support is simply going to be the low of your pullback at around 192. Those are the two key levels to keep an eye on for small caps. Speaking of small caps, or at least a small cap that used to be a mid cap, Fisker, I did tweet out today, or post on X, I guess you can say tweet out. I did buy Fisker. I mentioned this already on stream last week. In the last week or so, I've been buying Fisker shares for the first time in years. Like, maybe, I can't remember off the top of my head. I can't promise that. Maybe I did day trade or swing trade some shares of Fisker last year or the year before, but really since I can remember off the top of my head, I don't remember trading like equity on Fisker and like holding it for a while anywhere over here. I definitely did day trade it and do options on it, but like when we're just talking about actual shares, off the top of my head, pretty much, I'm going to draw a little bit of a box here, pretty much this pullback right here, I've been averaging into a position in Fisker. So I've sat back and watched Fisker technically drop, okay? Technically, I mean, I've traded it plenty of times since then, but from $32 down to $1.20, and you see all of this down sloping price action. The first time I'm really buying it up is you still see all of this sell off, the first time I'm buying it. And you know, I've talked about it throughout the majority of this whole entire chart, is here, okay? Is over here. So let me say a couple things. Number one, this is not largely due to technicals. I'd say the main technical I am watching is the fact that this is the only time ever that the weekly RSI has been oversold. And I was on a Spaces today and I did mention, me buying here does not mean I think Fisker is a $30 stock right now. I do not think it's a $30 stock right now. But I don't think it's a $1 stock either. This was consistently trading around $5-6 for pretty much 2 years. And only since last Halloween, it dropped from that $5-ish area down to $1. Going from $5 a share to $1 a share in about 3 months, it is extreme. and there was bad news. I've never denied it. We've talked about it on the stream multiple times, but I don't think that the news was bad enough for that drop. And why was I not buying it then? If I didn't think the news was that bad over here and over here, why was I not buying it here? Because I wanted to wait for a response. And the reason I'm buying it now is because we're getting a response. It was actually this day right over here when I first started averaging in, not when we went up to $2, but when we started pulling back off of the $2 level. And I believe that's when they announced that they're going to be working for dealerships instead of following the Tesla model, where Tesla just kind of does a direct-to-consumer model. That was the first thing. Then today, why did I average in more at $1.19? Because finally, I'm not sure if they're going to, I don't think they have it on TradingView. One of the major struggles back around earnings was one, they delayed the earnings, and then they had the chief accounting officer resign. And then finally today they were able to find a new one. So those are two things. There's been doubts about the deliveries, they're working on dealerships, and then two, the accounting stuff, they finally got a new person working for that. So those are two things that they finally gave answers to. Are they the best answers in the world? Not necessarily, but they're an answer. And I think what most investors don't like is uncertainty. We had uncertainty for the past 3 months. We still do have a level of uncertainty, but now it's clear that they are moving around parts. They do recognize the issues. Maybe they did recognize them too late. And another large comment that bears of this stock are making is that they're running out of cash. It's something I talked about earlier today as well. Their market cap, and I know there's other factors to this as well, but their market cap is around 400 million. Their cash is higher than that. Their total current assets are also higher, or their total assets are also higher than their liabilities currently. So across the board on their sheet, yes, they do have a lot of things to figure out. But in my opinion, from several aspects, especially I believe they did around $72 million. And I'm not looking at any notes right now, it's just off the top of my head. So please go check yourself. They did around 72 million in revenue last quarter, and they're underperforming on deliveries. So I do think that these are things that can change, and that's why I'm buying it here. So we will see what happens. I don't know if I'm going to hold this from this price point for another 10 years. Maybe it goes up to $3. I sell it, then I wait a few months to buy it again, and then I sell it some other time. I don't know what my exit's going to be on this quite yet, but just I do know that I'm entering it for right now, and what I have in it currently is riskable. It is starting to get larger by the day, so I'm going to start kind of relaxing on adding into it as aggressively as I have been for the last week. But I do feel like since I talk about Fisker so much, and since I have since the beginning of this channel, it is kind of my duty to share with all of you when I am actually putting my money where my mouth is and buying up the stock, which is pretty much in the last 4 to 5 days for the first time in a very long time. So wanted to share that. Still a high risk. There's still is a lot of things to figure out. Keep that in mind. Nvidia, beautiful breakout today of 500. This was one I was wrong about. I did think that this was going to break down and go back to the bottom of the range, and I was proven wrong. And this morning I noticed that it was breaking on top of this range. Somebody did mention the Discord, and then I took a look and even kind of drew out this pennant really quickly, and just a beautiful move today for Nvidia. Closing, and now it's after hours. After hours is about to end. It's now sitting at $530. So Nvidia rallies to record high as chipmaker announces AI-related components. Unveiled new desktop graphics processors taking advantage of AI, and that just absolutely sent the stock higher. And for many reasons, a lot of other related stocks and the whole entire QQQ as well. So really good day here. I'm sure a lot of people are going to ask about levels. If you want short-term Fibonacci levels, your 1272 would be at $540. If you want longer-term Fib levels, or let's do mid-term Fib levels, you have about 435 as your 1272. So 535 to 540 is your first resistance in terms of Fibonacci. 535 to 540. You really want like longer-term Fibs, then you pretty much just exceeded your 1618. And if we're talking like long term, if this trend really continues over time, your major from your all-time high to your bear market low, previous all-time high to your bear market low, your major 2618 would be $730. Okay, definitely need a lot more good news and new patterns to get to that price point, but those are some long-term price levels. Continuing on, we were looking at QS last week. It had a really good day on Thursday, pulled back a little bit since then. It's been regarding this 872 level as a support. Looks like I have this charted from a couple lows back in June of 2022 and highs in March of 23. Go down to, let's say, a 15-minute chart, 30-minute chart. This is a name that I would keep an eye on tomorrow. And the reason for that is because it's pretty much testing a breakout of this triangle. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, kind of 5 touches if you include this at the end. 4 to 5 touch triangle, not the cleanest triangle by any means. A little bit of volume came in at the end of the day and up a couple cents after hours. So as long as it holds that mid $8 range, keep an eye on this one maybe for some continuation there. Going through this ongoing swings, Tesla, nice bullish engulfing candle at the back test of this wedge breakout, hidden bullish divergence developing. This is a very key area to watch Tesla, where it bounce. The swing is literally sitting at where it was alerted probably a month ago. It went up a little bit since then, and then it came back down, and now it's just sitting back to where it was alerted. So it can continue holding this 230 level. Tesla is definitely one of my key watches right now. The ARK ETF, I was gonna mark this a break even if it fell back down to 48 bucks. Technically never hit it, so it's just retesting the breakout now. All right, this will be marked a break even swing if it falls back down to the entry, but for right now, it's retesting a breakout. I'll give it a chance. Gold, we already looked at stock earlier, but the Gold Barrick Corporation is back testing the 200-day moving average and this zone, trying to flip it into a support. Then the final ongoing swing, LI, just looking for a new higher low to come in and hopefully move back above the 200-day moving average, which it is above after hours. All right, and some of the older swings which already hit targets also had pretty nice days today. Lyft was up 6%, pretty much went back down to where the first target was and bounced off of it. In terms of large caps, Apple 200-day moving average bounce took place today. Very, very nice move right off the 200-day moving average. This is what I was saying on the streams. Previous all-time high zone, this was a critical area for Apple to bounce, and thankfully it did. Amazon retesting the top of its zone, hidden bullish on the daily. Huge flip for a lot of the technicals in a lot of these stocks today. Microsoft, I'd probably just extend this out to like a wider bull flag. Technically, this is also testing a breakout with hidden bullish divergence. So like, yeah, I mean, there definitely is a lot of variables flipping here. This was a beautiful flip of this previous high from last June into a support on AMD, by the way. And then Ryan and Mara bounced back today, of course, with Bitcoin. And that's pretty much it. So that's what took place in the market today. Thank you for watching the stream. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. We'll live again tomorrow night, and I will see you there.